Rhino or YOLO? The Trump White House can't stand what it calls rhinos, Republicans in name only. Now, that acronym predated Trump's involvement in GOP politics, but it has become, what's the word? Weaponized by the Trump White House against Republicans who fail the Trump loyalty test. You know, the one that's delivered almost daily? To President Trump, rhinos are by definition weak because they are not strong for him. Eradicating rhinos from GOP ranks started in his first term as a kind of preference. Now it is a borderline obsession, as evidenced by the throttling of Kentucky Republican Congressman Thomas Massie last night. Tens of millions of dollars were dedicated to Massie's defeat, ordered up by Trump, who added, for good measure, a torrent of social media invective. Massie is now thus a victim of this purity campaign, and he may be rethinking his political options. And in that light, he might have new company, such as Louisiana GOP Senator Bill Cassidy, vanquished in Saturday's primary by a Trump-endorsed challenger. Texas Republican Senator John Cornyn may join the ranks of the replaceables Tuesday when he faces freshly Trump-endorsed rival Ken Paxton. In their victimhood, these Republicans may enter a new phase of political life. YOLO republicanism, you only live once. Unencumbered by the burdens of persistent loyalty tests, they may find ways to defy or frustrate the Trump agenda. Take Cassidy, for instance. Yesterday, late in the afternoon, for the first time, he voted with Democrats to invoke the War Powers Act to limit Trump's war with Iran. Could Cornyn be far behind on matters like, I don't know, the billion-dollar Trump ballroom, or a new fund for supposed victims of Biden lawfare, or that tacked-on codicil that shields Trump, his families, and affiliated businesses from any pending IRS investigations or audits? These, my friends, are choices a YOLO political lifestyle are made of. Who knows, you might even see TikTok or Instagram videos memorializing newfound political freedoms. Or maybe it will just be the occasional icy no vote on the Senate floor, legislative revenge, best served cold. All of this, of course, is speculative, but only slightly. And for evidence of that, check Senator Cassidy's X account right now. But for precision that only numbers can bring, we turn to your friend and mine, Anthony Salvanto, our executive director of surveys and elections, for a recap of the primaries last night. Anthony, tell us about the 4th District of Kentucky, Ed Galrine and Thomas Massie.
No FOMO here. You're not going to miss out on the data.
Exactly. No FOMO.
This is what look, the 4th District here, we all watched this all last night. I want to talk about what ultimately was the turnout in this race, right? So we're at 106,000 votes. Now, in the scope of things in Kentucky, that's not a lot. Even in the Kentucky 4th, that's not a lot. But compared to other primaries, that is a 2x turnout, right? Other primaries, even for Massie, have had maybe 50, maybe 60,000 votes. Now, I know what you're going to say. We've been doing this a long time. Come on, Ant, those weren't competitive primaries. What's the comparison here? It's this, and that is the central question of the midterms, I think, is whether the Trump campaign, the Republican apparatus, can turn out voters when Donald Trump is not on the ballot. And I think when you see turnout like this and all the money they spent to do that, it's going to be taken as evidence that, in fact, they can. Unlike, say, 2018, when they couldn't, this is going to be, for a lot of Republicans, that kind of sign.
Underlying that, will there be Massie Galrine voters in November? Will be interesting to watch that. How about Georgia? We had primaries, gubernatorial and senatorial on the Republican side. What do we make?
I'm going to start with the Senate one, because the key here is nobody hit 50%. And in Georgia, Collins and Dooley now go to a runoff to see who faces Jon Ossoff in November. The reason that's important is there's a couple of schools of thought here. Number one, we're going to watch Georgia because it's going to be a crucial Senate battleground. Democrats need to hold it. Does a runoff mean that they compete and beat each other up for another few weeks and Ossoff just gets out his message? Or does it mean that they get lots of attention for a couple of weeks, get more energy on the base, and then that rolls into November? That is an open question, but is the question to watch in Georgia next couple of weeks.
Preview next week's runoff in Texas. Ken Paxton, John Cornyn.
Will do. Well, it comes back to what you talked about at the top, right? You've got the Trump endorsement. That's probably going to be a big factor here if past his prologue. We already know that. And here is your map of how they did in the last primary. This, I think, is evidence you're going to watch the central cities to see if Cornyn can run up enough vote. Otherwise, Paxton is probably poised to do well all across the rural counties.
Precision in numbers. Anthony Salvanto, as always, I thank you, my friend.